So again, thanks for coming. And I think that we're back to go again. So why don't I just tell you a little bit about Lama Christy now and Geshe Michael. Christy is a translator and professor of ancient Sanskrit sacred texts at Diamond University, which many people actually here attend. And she's also published the popular Essential Yoga Sutra. And in 2003 became one of the first Americans to finish a great retreat, which is 3 years, 3 months, 3 days. Right? Yeah. Geshe Michael is the first American to be awarded the Tibetan Buddhist title of Geshe after more than 20 years of study in the Tibetan monastery. He's the author of the international best-selling book on managing your life and business, The Diamond Cutter. So if I have the cue, which they don't look like they're at the back yet, we're not here. Yeah. But just very quickly, does anybody have any quick questions before we get started? Great. It was great. That's got a retreat 3 days ago. Shane did after 2 days ago. So,
now we'll welcome Geshe Michael Roach and Lama Christy McMahon.
Forget the talk. We're just gonna jump up and say something.
We'll start with a traditional prayer called the mandala. And if you know it, then you're welcome to do it. If you don't know it, just hold your hands up and do what I did in the monastery for 20 years, which is this is the 6th in a series of talks about spiritual partners. And we were thinking, what should we talk about? We have to tell them, come. You want to?
No, just a little farther away.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah.
I can't do that. But anyway. I found out people stay awake if I yell at them. So this is the 6th in the series of talks, and we were thinking about, we have to tell them 2 months ahead what we're going to talk about. And we decided, in Buddhism, having a spiritual partner is a big deal. They say it's the fast way to get enlightened. It's a very high practice in Buddhism. And the core of the practice, it all centers on seeing your partner as a divine being, like believing in your heart that your partner has come from heaven and was sent to you, that you didn't meet them by accident and you're not living with them by accident, and there's some deep reason why you're with them. And then we were reflecting, that's sort of like the Fifth Element. I don't know if you saw the movie. Like Bruce Willis is driving a cab that flies in the air, and this red-haired 21-year-old girl who's God drops into the cab. And then there's a scene in the movie where there's this priest, and she's introduced to the priest, and he said, I just can't get over that. You know, I just had a different picture of God. You know, and she's this 21-year-old girl with red hair, you know. And so we were reflecting, if your partner really was a divine being, you know, if your partner was really God, then what kind of guidelines would you need to live with them, right? Like, you can't really follow the old pattern with a partner if you really believe they are a divine being, right? That you can't, it's very difficult to behave in the old way if you believe your partner is a divine being. So we thought to talk about what's the proper protocol for living with God. Okay, and then we started talking. We decided, well, first of all, you have to make this partner, right? First of all, you have to find this partner, and we thought that maybe in addition to talking about how to live with God, you would have to talk about how to find Him in the first place. Because we start talking about how to behave towards your partner, and then a lot of people come up to us with questions. They say, but how do I get one in the first place? I'm not to that stage yet of how to behave with them. I just didn't find one yet, you know. And that's a very common question. And we asked, we sent an email out to all the people who registered for this talk. And we said, do you have any questions you'd like to ask her? You know, us to answer at the talk. So the last part of the talk this evening, towards the end, we'll be answering some questions we got by email. If you have more questions, you can write them down on a paper at the registration, and we'll handle them tomorrow. Okay? So we have a pile of questions that came in by email, so we'll be doing those. We like to base our talks on some kind of ancient wisdom. And each talk we give, we try to find a different ancient manuscript to talk about. And we actually translate it for each talk. So for this talk, we chose a book called The 70 Verses on Emptiness. It's called the Thongni Dunjipa, or Shunyata Saptati in Sanskrit. And this book is almost 2,000 years old. It was written by a very famous Indian Buddhist sage named Nagarjuna. And we chose, out of the 70 verses, we chose a handful that we felt related to spiritual partners. So we'll be talking about this book. Because the way we present spiritual partners is completely different from, say, what you might hear at a marriage counselor or something like that. You know, the way we advise people or talk to people about spiritual relationships is very deeply based in the ancient idea of emptiness. And emptiness has a bad rap. The idea has a bad rap. You know, people have, over the centuries, over 17 centuries, a lot of people have got confused about what it means. So there are some countries, there are some traditions where they say, oh, emptiness means try to think about nothing. Just empty your head. Or some people say emptiness means close your eyes and try to think that everything's flat. And then nothing's there. You know, stare at a wall. And then there's an even my Lama, the one he disliked the most was the idea that emptiness means that nothing matters, everything's empty, everything's meaningless, kind of a, what do they call it, what's it, Nietzsche, or, I don't know. Nihilism. Like nothing matters. If you do good, it doesn't matter. If you do bad, it doesn't matter. That's the worst. My Lama used to say that was the all-time worst interpretation of emptiness. We're going to try to talk about the real meaning of emptiness. And it's a completely different way of approaching a spiritual partner. Okay? It's a completely different way of approaching how do you find the partner for your life. Okay? When I say find a partner, you think about, in your mind pops up going to Starbucks, hanging out, watching the door. You know, like, you pretend you're online, but you're actually looking up over the screen, you know, and you're waiting for this person to walk in the door. Like, you're hoping that somehow we will describe to you some new trick that when you go to Starbucks tomorrow, they'll walk in the door, you know, and they'll be done, they'll be finished product. You know, they walk in the door, they're already everything you wanted, right? Like you say, I found my dream girl, or my dream boy, you know. You have this image that the person is there, out there, they have certain qualities that I want, and then I find them. You see what I mean? And the emptiness approach, Arya-Nagarjuna's approach, is totally, totally different. And that's why you might want to give it a try, because you've tried everything else, right? If you find something that's totally different, it's worth giving it a good shot. We're not going to say anything you ever heard before about finding a partner. What we're going to say is that the world is empty, meaning the world is like an empty screen, like a movie screen, before you project the movie, right? And then your karma, the way you treat other people, how you act, it creates certain seeds in your mind, and then your mind projects the world. Your mind is like a movie projector, and your eyes, reality is not coming to your eyes, reality is coming out of your eyes. And you are creating your own world, not by choice, and not by decision, but by what you've done in the past to other people, good or bad. Then everything you experience is driven by that. So we're not saying that you wait at Starbucks until the perfect person walks in. We're saying you undertake specific actions, specific kinds of karma, to create the person you want. And then they must appear. And they will appear. Okay? So it's all backwards. Then we were thinking, it's good if you break it down, right? Like, what qualities do you want in a partner? And so we sat down, we defined 12 different qualities that we personally would like to have in a partner. And then we went back to the ancient books, and we went back to Nagarjuna, and we found out the karma that you have to do to create that quality in the partner. So like, if you skip tomorrow night's talk, the partner you end up with will only have half of the qualities. So, if you go home after the break, your partner will only have 3 qualities. You see, I mean, so like that. It's kind of a black guy. But there's different qualities, right? Each one has its own karma. So you have to know how karma works. We're going to talk a lot about how karma works in detail. I think a lot of the reason why we can't accept karma is that no one taught us about karma. If someone teaches you clearly about karma, it becomes quite straightforward. You can achieve anything you want. And we have, in many ways. So I think that's my sales pitch. And now we're going to talk about, we did Nagarjuna for a few talks. I think in the last year we've done 2 different texts by Nagarjuna. We thought that during this weekend we would introduce you to 2 more important players in Nagarjuna's life. One is his teacher, whose name was Saraha, and one is his disciple, whose name was Ayurveda. So, since we already told you the whole story of Nagarjuna's life, which if you didn't hear, you can go online and hear it, I thought tonight we'll cover a little bit about his very famous disciple, Aryadeva. So Kristita's going to start with Aryadeva.
These stories of the famous master's life, they're so fun to tell, you know. And so we were fighting the night before, who gets to tell the story of Aryadeva? Is it you, Geshe Michael, or is it going to be me? And of course I won. Because, you know, Geshe-la's so good at introducing the talk, and I'm like, you know, Geshe-la, I don't ever start the talks. You know, Aryadeva has to come after the introduction, you know, so I ended up with the good part. But, it's true, right? It's true. So Aryadeva, he was Master Nagarjuna's main disciple. You know, people like Arya Nagarjuna, they have a huge amount of disciples. Maybe they have thousands. Maybe they have more than that. But usually, they pick one or two main disciples where they can pour all their knowledge in. And that disciple will stay by their side 24/7 and stay until they're absolutely full with the knowledge of their teacher so that they can pass on the lineage properly. It's the lineage holder. We're talking about Arya Nagarjuna's lineage holder. So Arya Nagarjuna was the most famous teacher on emptiness that we know. Arya Nagarjuna's works on emptiness are used more than Lord Buddha's in the monastery. Everybody quotes Arya Nagarjuna. When they talk about emptiness, it's Arya Nagarjuna. So to be Arya Nagarjuna's main disciple is a very big deal. You know, I mean, if you were Aryadeva, Master Aryadeva, which is Arya Nagarjuna's disciple, you'd be happy. It's a good job. It's a really good job. So Aryadeva was filled probably up to here. You know, like he was almost full at this time. And Arya Nagarjuna gets a challenge by one of the non-Buddhist traditions to a debate. And in ancient India, these debates were very common. Because you would go to a certain town, and you would have a debate, and whoever won the debate, that whole entire town would have to convert to that religion or that philosophy. So these debates were a pretty big deal. So Arya Nagarjuna gets a challenge. Aryadeva is feeling pretty sure of himself, so he goes, no, Arya Nagarjuna, I can take it. I can do the debate. You don't have to bother, because I know we are really far away from this place. So Aryadeva, he takes it on himself. With the blessing of his teacher, he travels to the place where the debate is happening. On the way, he meets a witch. It's there was a female yoga practitioner. She presents herself. She's like, Aryadeva, I know that you're a realized being, and so your body has all sorts of magical qualities. I have need of a certain spell that I need to cast, and I know you're a bodhisattva who will do anything for any living being. So, can you please give me your eye, because I need it for a certain spell? And Aryadeva, he is a bodhisattva. And so, he says, okay, I will. And he reaches in, and he pulls out his eye socket, and he actually gives her the eye. But he gives her his left eye with his left hand. Now in India, handing someone something with your left hand is considered a sign of incredible disrespect. Because I don't know what you know about India, but they use their left hand to wipe themselves. They don't have any toilet paper. So you don't use your left hand for anything, you know? So this lady, she's like, you handed this to me with your left hand. I can't believe you. What kind of person are you? And she drops it on the floor and she smashes his eye. And at this point, Aryadeva's heart sort of breaks, you know? And he has a moment of doubt. He's like, if this is what all living beings are like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to save them. You know, I don't think I can do it. I really can't do it. If this is kind of the people that I have to transform in my life, it's impossible, you know. She smashed my eye, you know. And then, so he's sort of known for this moment of doubt. It's in the scriptures, you know. This doubt inside his heart was written down in the scriptures. It's kind of embarrassing, you know. Arya Nagarjuna gets all this emptiness stuff written about him. His disciple gets this moment of doubt written about him, you know. But I think for us it's a teaching, because he was a very high being. You know, he was a very good practitioner. He was a bodhisattva, but he had a moment of doubt. But then he used wisdom. He used his knowledge of emptiness, and he persevered. You know, he overcame his doubt. He said, no, that's not it. That's not right. I can save all living beings. By the truth of emptiness, I can save all living beings. And he went to the debate. And he won the debate. And they were all making fun of him because he only has one eye now. You see in the picture, he's the one on the bottom, and they do it in profile. Like all the other lamas they have two eyes, but this guy, you only see his profile because his other eye's gone. And it says in the Tibetan, the guy who wiped out the non-Buddhist worldview. So he won his debate. And they were making fun of him, and he said, listen, I've seen more with this one eye than you'll ever see with two. And that was the end of the story. So that's Master Aryadeva, the one who overcame his doubt and persevered. And, you know, we have to remember in our lives, whenever we're having a difficult time, and this is a partner talk, so whenever we're having a difficult time with our partners, which happens occasionally, then you have to remember Aryadeva and how he persevered, you know, through his knowledge of emptiness. And we're going to explain what emptiness is and how you can use that to overcome your doubt, and how you can use that even in the worst situations, you know, to transform your world, and to persevere, and to get beyond your problems, and to transform your life into something that you really want it to be. So, with that, we're going to start on the first verse.
So please go to the first page inside the reading. We just listed the qualities that you'd like to see in your partner. Okay, and the first quality we chose was affectionate. Okay. I think for women this means the guy should hug you sincerely, at least like once a day, you know.
It's not just for women. Everyone likes hugs, right? You like hugs. Everyone likes hugs.
The guys just want their back scratched. Okay. I mean, I just, my own experience. Okay. That's affection. Everybody's affection is a little bit different. But the idea is that you want a partner that when they look at you, their eyes are like, they're happy to see you. You know, like you wake up in the morning, they look at you, and their eyes are like, wow, it's so good to see you, you know, and they look at you and they kind of treasure you, like if you bought a new car or you got a new pair of pants or something. You take them out and look at them, you know, and you just gaze at them, and you're happy to see them, and when you see them, you smile, you know, and there's affection in your eyes, right? People see affection in your eyes. So, how do you get a partner to have affection in their eyes? And if you lose affection, like it's hard to keep affection up over time, right? As the years go by, sometimes the hugs get fewer or the affection gets less, you know? I mean, the third year you see your car, it's not so exciting, right? You don't go out and stand in the garage and stare at the car anymore, you know? You're just like wondering when you're going to get in your car, you know what I mean? And sometimes it's hard to keep up affection And oftentimes a relationship loses affection. The original affection wears off. Tibetans call it ansat sabal. Ansat sabal means, in a way, the novelty of the relationship wears off. And then the affection just seems to turn into habit or something. So, how can you find a person with affection? How can you maintain affection in the other person? Because it's so nice to wake up and someone just looks at you and you can tell that they're like really in love with you and they still think you're so special. You see what I mean? How can you get your partner to be affectionate? Right? Not in a normal way, but according to the laws of karma. You see? According to the idea of emptiness, this new idea, that things are coming from you. Things are coming from your side. I want to see my partner be affectionate towards me. I'd like to see them thinking I'm special for the rest of our lives, you see? How can you get that to happen? What's the karma for that? So, we thought that the very first verse, we would take a quotation not from Nagarjuna, who wrote the book, but from his teacher Saraha. And there's not a lot of story about Saraha's life. Not even a lot of his works exist still. But we do have a few very important quotations in other books by Saraha. Maybe his books are mostly lost. So the one we wrote here is the most famous thing that Saraha ever said. Okay? It's the most famous quotation from Arya Nagarjuna's teacher. So I'd like to read it in English. If you enter the path of emptiness, but lack the great heart of compassion, you will never find the path supreme. But if instead you only meditate upon that heart of greatness, you will find yourself locked here in the cycle of pain and never manage to escape. But those who manage to join these two together remain not in the cycle, nor even in nirvana. What's he saying? In the Buddhist tradition, love is paramount. You must have love. But together with love, you must have an understanding of how the world came about. You know, how did reality happen? Why did this talk happen here tonight? Why was this building built here? You know, why did you end up in Tucson to hear this talk? You see? Why was it that however you found out about this talk, it came to you? Why? You know, what has caused those things? We say that love, which is uninformed, can only lead to pain. Okay? Love which doesn't understand how the world happened can only lead to suffering. You see? Love which understands how things really happen. Love which understands why things happen to you in your life. That's real love. Why? Because then that love can affect the world. That love can change the world. If you really understand how the world came to be and why you were born here, then if you have love, you can really help the world. You can change the world. You can serve the world. You see? So love without a knowledge of where the world came from or why things happen in your life, this is just going to lead to more pain. And in a relationship also. If you enter a relationship with love, but you don't understand why the other person happened in your life, it can only lead to pain. But then he warns you about the opposite. If you're just a philosopher sitting there discussing where the world came from, and you have no love for the world, if you don't care for the world, if you spend all your time meditating, thinking about emptiness, and you don't go out and help people and take a concern for people and love the people around you, then you will also suffer. You can also only suffer. So in the end, he says, those who manage to join the two together, you know, have love for your partner, but also understand where they came from. Then they reach the goal. Okay, what's the goal? It's not to suffer. But then he says it's not nirvana either. And that's a tricky thing. Okay, that's a very tricky thing. I think we won't go into it. We have to talk about affection, right? We don't have much time. Maybe we have to do that later, I think. What's the karma for affection? Right? How can you... This is the way Nagarjuna would make their partner affectionate. Okay? And we listed at the end, we tried to put 3 actions you might undertake to create affection towards yourself. Right? The first one is, all of us work, all of us have a job, mostly. We have to go to work. I worked in a very large corporation for 15 years. Every morning, 5:30 a.m. on the bus. 2 hours to New York, half hour on the subway. Then like 5 to 9 you're in the office. You're already exhausted. You just got to work. It's a 3-hour thing, And 15 years. And there's always, you come into the office, you sit down, and you have a certain, the moment you sit in your seat at work, you sit in a certain network or a certain relationship to other people in the office. There are, over to the northwest is 2 friends of mine. To the north is someone I don't like. To the northeast over there is Joe, they're new, I don't know them too well, they could go either way. And behind me is my boss's office and he's a creep. And when you sit in your chair at work, you sit in a relationship. You sit in context with other people. And there's a list of people at work that you relate to, you talk to, you have coffee together, you go out to lunch together, you might go out after work together. And then there's a certain number of people at work that you just don't relate to. They don't look like you, they don't like you, you don't care about them, they mostly just cause you trouble with the boss, right? Like that. So the idea is, if you're going to undertake this particular new, exciting, 2,000-year-old method to find an affectionate partner, you must now decide artificially, I will be affectionate to somebody at work that I'm not. Okay? Why? Because it's moral? That's okay. Because it's the right thing to do? That's okay too. Because it would be noble? That's also true. But quite frankly, you can dedicate it to your partner. You can send the karma to your partner. I'm going to be affectionate to someone because I want my partner to look at me with those bright eyes that she had the first year we were together. You see what I mean? You dedicate it to that. You see, you send the karma to that. So you pick someone at work, and you do just be friendly to them. You see, it doesn't cost you anything. If this whole karma stuff is just BS and it doesn't work, you didn't lose anything. You're just friendly to somebody, right? So you just go out of your way. Monday morning you can start. Pick somebody in your normal contacts that you don't pay attention to, and just be warm to them, right? Just be warm to them, and then send the karma to your partner. Okay? Second suggestion: commit random acts of niceness. Like this is really fun. You drive around Tucson, you do your normal work, you go to stores, you go to restaurants, you go to Jumbo Juice, and just do something nice to somebody, out of context, right? Unnecessary, unexpected. Just hold the door open for somebody, like that. Or sometimes we just pay somebody's bill, like they're having coffee, we tell the lady, tell them that somebody in the place paid it for them. And how special it makes you feel? Like the waitress comes up and says, you say, how much is it? And they say, it's free. You say, oh, wow, I'm coming back tomorrow. No. Somebody paid for you. Well, who? Well, they said I can't tell you. And do weird stuff like that. Weird, warm stuff for anonymous people. And then send the karma to your partner. I want my partner to be more affectionate. That's what I did this time. Last one. Call your parents. Like mom carried you around for 9 months, so heavy. And then had her body ripped apart to bear you. Whatever your relationship now, right? It may be warm, it may not be so warm. due to the 20 years after that. But they suffer, and they love you, and it means a lot to them, you know. So those of you who have parents who are not, if not, you could call a sister or a brother. But just call. It takes like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You don't have to talk so long. You can go, back, can I turn myself off? Hit the off thing, you know. But I think the battery's running out. And then, but it'll make them feel so good, you know. It's affection, right? And then you dedicate it to your partner. This is the karmic approach to working with your partner. Notice that we didn't use other approaches. Christy Lau's going to talk about that. Okay? We're going to talk about why this is different from what you've been doing so far.
So, we're going to go on to the next page, which is, it's got a big receptive in huge letters across the top. It's not that exciting, Will. Will give me this big, huge yawn, like, oh, receptive, okay. I gotta work on my receptivity karma. Okay. So, you all want partners and students that listen to you, that like to hear your ideas, that laugh at your jokes, that understands what you mean when you talk. You want a partner who is receptive to you. You want a partner who's in tune with you. You want a partner who's like on the edge of their seat waiting to hear what you have to say next. Not someone who's going to be like, yeah, you told me that yesterday. Or like, to tell you the truth, I have mixed karma with this. On the one hand, Geshe Michael will listen to I don't know, I've told him certain stories, maybe about 30 times, maybe 40, I don't know. But every time a certain subject comes up, I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of that time when I was 10, and he'll listen, and he'll ask questions as if I never told him before. Now, either he's completely forgotten the story, or I have really good receptivity karma, Like he's sort of paying attention and like asking the right questions and being really sympathetic, and who cares if I told it to him 39 times. But like on the other hand, I'll be on the plane, I'll be like, I have a really good idea for the spiritual partner talk this weekend. He's like, yeah, He's typing on his computer. I'm like, blah, 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 Are you listening? No. like, at least he's honest, like when he's not listening, he tells me. So, I have a good reason for talking about this quality, because it's a mixed karma. I mean, I have half and half. The ignorant view, I'll read the verse for a second. It says, ignorance cannot happen when no one's collecting karma. This is Arya Nagarjuna. Karma cannot happen when no one's being ignorant. Since the two are causes one for the other, then neither of them can have any nature at all. So, ignorance would be like me demanding on the airplane that he listen to me. You're not listening to me, or complaining about someone not listening to you. Now, does that make the person listen to you? Have you tried it? Alright. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Complaining that someone's not listening to you doesn't make them listen to you more. In fact, it probably makes them listen to you less, because nobody likes to hear you whine or complain. So, what happens when we do the normal activity, like the activity that we've been taught since birth, like bug someone until they listen to you, or complain about someone not listening to you, or address the problem with your partner. We need to talk. You're not listening to me. I think we should talk. Talking doesn't work. This is a wrong view. This is ignorance. This is the ignorant way to do things. And why is it ignorant? Because it doesn't work. That's the only reason why it's ignorant. If it worked, it would be great. We could talk, he could listen to me more, but it doesn't. It doesn't work. The normal way we try to go about the things in our life, affecting things in our life, it just doesn't work. Because the things in our life, they're not out there the way that we think they are. Geshe Michael is not out there next to me on the plane the way I think he is. Geshe Michael is coming from an image in my mind. The way that I see him not listening to me is coming from an image in my mind that I planted. How? Because I didn't listen to somebody else in the past. Right? So every single thing that you see your partner do has been planted in your mind from something you did to somebody else in the past. So then you say, oh, well, all you have to do is listen to him. That's easy. Then the karma is fixed. But unfortunately, we sort of get in these ruts with our partners. We get in sort of these downward spirals where, like, okay, say if I actually did the wrong view thing on the plane. So he doesn't listen to me about my spiritual partner idea, right? And then I start complaining. You're not listening to me. We have to talk. And then I get what? I get more complaining karma. So, like, I hear him complaining more in the future. Then what do? I don't listen to him more because he's complaining, and who wants to listen to somebody complain? So then you get yourself not listening more, and then more complaining, and then more him not listening, and it's this downward spiral. You get in this terrible downward spiral with your partner. And then what happens when someone says, well, just break the pattern. Just listen to him. Well, I don't want to listen to him if he's not going to listen to me. Like, you have this automatic reaction, and it's really hard to fight against. Even though you know that's the right thing to do, karmically, worldviewly, you know the best thing to do would be just to listen to him. But, there's something, it's just gnawing at you. He just didn't listen to me the last 20 times I tried to talk to him. I'm not going to listen to him. It's like there's something inborn in us that doesn't want to do it. And it's like trying to walk through quicksand to get ourselves to do it to our partner. Or you say, I don't have a problem not listening to him. I always listen to him. And it's not true. But you're blind to it. So like either you have this terrible thing where you just can't listen, or you have this thing where you're blind to the fact that you don't listen to your partner because you're so enmeshed in the downward spiral. So what we came up with for this talk, and you'll notice it for every single one of the 12 qualities that we have for our partner, we're going to a third party to create the karma with our partner. So every single thing that we have in this talk has to do with you not interacting with your partner at all. With you interacting with everybody else in your life to create your perfect partner. So you go to work and you create your perfect partner. Your partner's not even there, but you're creating them. Or you go to McDonald's and you're creating your perfect partner with the cashier. And it gets into your mind the fact that really you're creating them. Really, it's karma, because you're not even with your partner, but you're affecting them. So we have these techniques, like we have 3 little karmic fixes after each verse. What to do with a third party to get your partner to be more receptive. What to do with a third party to get your partner to be more affectionate. And it's always the third party. And you get out of that one. And that's how you break the downward spiral with your partner. So the first one we have, the first karmic fix for being more receptive. It's called listen to the lower ones. Go through your life. Figure out who you think, who you have in your life that you consider lower than you. You walk into a room and immediately your mind, anyone you see, immediately your mind goes, is this person higher than me, better than me, or is this person my equal, or is this person lower than me? And automatically we're constantly discriminating. We're constantly making those judgments about people. And then usually what we do after that is, if we decide that someone's lower than us, we don't have to listen to them. We don't have to listen to their ideas. Like, it happens a lot of times with older people. You know, they're a little bit slower than us, and they don't speak so clearly, or maybe they go off in these weird tangents, and you're like, yeah, Dad, or yeah, you know, whoever's in your life that's like that, you kind of blow them off. You don't listen to them. And that's creating karma for you not to be listened to in your personal life. So, to turn that around, you find the people that you're doing that with, and you stop, and you listen to what they have to say, and you dedicate it, you send it to your partner being receptive to you, right? And it could be a complete stranger. It doesn't have to be somebody you know. It could be someone that you meet on the street. Maybe someone who hasn't washed for a while. Or maybe someone of another race that you're not so comfortable with, that you think is not so educated. You know, it could be anyone like that. I mean, we all have our prejudices. We all have something in there. Either we have a prejudice, or everybody listens to us perfectly. So you be the judge. Like, if you have the perfect karma and everybody's listening to you perfectly, you don't have any problems, and you don't have to do this. Next one. Listen for messages. This one is a fun one for me. This one has to do with angels. So we talked about people who are lower than us. Now we're talking about people who are definitely higher than us. In Buddhism, we say there are enlightened beings. They have reached the ultimate goal. They have evolved into beings of light. They no longer have flesh and blood. They no longer have to die. And this is our goal. This is our ultimate goal, actually. When we have a partner, the ultimate goal to having a spiritual partner is to help both of you get to your ultimate evolution faster. You want to reach this being of light. You want to become this being of light. That they say these beings, they are in complete bliss all the time. And they have this ability to emanate. And the reason they're in complete bliss is because they've learned how to love perfectly. And their perfect love for every single being in the entire universe manifests as complete physical bliss constantly. You know, so they are completely in love with every single person in this room. And they are completely aware of you. They have omniscience, so they can see into your mind. They can see into your future. They know exactly what mistakes we're making, and they want to help us. And they can emanate as anything that they want. So we say they're all around us all the time. They have to be. If they love us, and if they can emanate, then they would have to be around us all the time. Because they want us to get to the ultimate goal faster than anybody else, faster than you yourself want to get to the ultimate goal. They're dying to get you there. But you don't have the karma quite to see them in their full angelic glory, like beings of light floating above your head. So they have to come to you in different ways, according to what your karma can allow, right? So they come to you as, I don't know, a person on the street who passes you by and says something strange to you and just walks into the distance, and you're like, who was that? You know, or they come to you as you're in Barnes & Noble and you open up a book and there's a certain sentence that just jumps out at you and it has everything to do with your life. You're like, how did that happen? You're playing the radio and all of a sudden this song comes up and it's totally talking about you. And it's giving you advice about your life and it's pushing you in a certain direction. It's pushing you towards that evolution. And it's them. It's these beings. And they're guiding you. And one of the best ways to get your partner to be receptive, and one of the best ways to have a really sweet life, actually, is to start listening for these messages, and to be aware. Just to be aware. They're there. They're going to be appearing to you in different forms, and look out for them, and listen for them. Listen to what they have to say. Then, I don't know, I was going to give you a little karmic result. If you do this particular one, number 2 in particular, the result will be, you'll say something to your partner, and they'll look at you really strangely. Like you just